Hello out to all you wonderful people. This is Andre the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear, listening into another Pitch for Switch discussion. And this I'm going to be talking about a game that I think people would find to be very interesting, even though you are looking at Soul Calibur 6 on the screen right this second. That is not the game that I will be talking about, but it will be a game using the engine for Soul Calibur. And it will be using Nintendo franchise characters from the likes of Fire Emblem, The Legend of Zelda, and Dragalia Lost. A lot of people actually love that game on mobile, and I'm one of those people that really enjoys it. I actually need to get back into playing it because I haven't touched it in a while. But I do like the characters in the game, and from what I remember of the story so far, I actually liked it a lot. It was a very interesting mobile game. It was a dungeon crawler that you could play with one hand, and that was an achievement in and of itself. But that said, and that stuff aside, I'm not worried about that right this particular moment. But all of these games have the one common theme in common, and that is, oh gosh, that was like too many of those words fell on top of each other in the wrong way. But I actually did a discussion about this a few years ago, about 4 years ago, 4.5 years ago, I think, called Fire Emblem Fated Blades, I believe. And it was a Wii U discussion, a Wii U game idea discussion I had done on my channel. The video was very foggy. So I remember, that's most of me facially recorded for YouTube is all phone. Some wasn't, but most of it is. But that one was with an older phone, not so great of a camera. Still, the discussion itself was relevant at the time, and it's still relevant now. Just, I want to take the discussion a little bit further, rather than it just being Fire Emblem. Again, add in The Legend of Zelda, and then add in Dragalia Lost. These are all three weapon-based games that Nintendo has, where characters have these different legendary weapons. There are different people of different skill sets and abilities that could all come together and clash. And it's not like we haven't seen Link in the Soul Calibur engine before, because he was one of the special characters for Soul Calibur 2. So, again, this makes a lot of sense. And since Soul Calibur isn't really on a Nintendo platform, there is a way to create a fix for that. But, again, I'm not the one in control of this. That's between Nintendo and why am I drawing a blank? I'm pretty sure it's Namco. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. I almost said Koei Tecmo, I think. But it's Namco. I know it's Namco. But there's this little inkling in me that has to make sure. And now I feel very stupid. But I have to check. Because if I'm wrong, yeah, it is Namco. I don't know why I wanted to say Koei Tecmo for some reason, but it is Namco. Okay, now, they could use the exact same engine that has been used to make Soul Calibur. But actually, the engine in Soul Calibur 6 is really good. Some of the character designs aren't so great, but that's a separate issue. The actual engine the game is in is actually really good. I've been playing it recently. It's decent. It's not the best thing ever, but it's still decent. Now, you didn't tell me they can't go back and say, oh, there's so many updated versions of these characters. Fire Emblem itself has become a very popular series. Then you have Zelda, which has always been popular in the West, and Dragalia Lost is a pretty popular mobile game. And I'm pretty sure Nintendo definitely wants to do more with that series. They want to make more media for it. They want to have more things come from it. So for me, this makes a lot of sense to go ahead and say, you know what? Let's do a weapons-based fighter in the Soul Calibur engine for Nintendo. And hey, basic premise, you go ahead and throw out, there's this wizard character unknown to all three worlds who is looking in on them, sort of similar to how Hyrule Warriors starts, where you have Sia looking into the world of The Legend of Zelda, and she falls in love with Link. That's what creates ends up creating the problem, is she got herself too involved. Whereas this situation, it could be someone, not necessarily that they have a fixation on any particular character, but maybe they have a fascination with the different warriors and fighters in the stories. Like, Link could be interesting to them. Characters like Marth, Lindis, Chrom could be interesting to them. Or Uden and his pack of people could be interesting. And they could just be like, I'm going to pluck these different characters from these particular points in history in these different series. Maybe like right after they have won their big battle. Like any version of Link after he has won the big battle. It's easiest to explain for Ocarina of Time Link, because you could do exactly what Soul Calibur 2 did with it, whereas like he was plucked away, even though he was being sent back in time by Zelda, he was plucked away by a different entity. You could use that same premise for Link. And for any of them, say this entity went ahead and he plucked Link from Ocarina of Time, and then maybe plucked away Zelda from Twilight Princess, so that they're not familiar with, they don't know each other as those versions of themselves, but they're still familiar with each other. And then maybe plucked Ganondorf from the Wind Waker, just an idea, not necessarily having to be that one. But sometime before Link, jammed the daggone Master Sword in his face. Or like any of them, like say Marth right after he got through with that big battle for revenge for his family, with everything that happened in his story. There's so many things that they could do with this, and even with characters that fight similarly, they can still have separate moves. So you could have Marth and Lucia, or was it Lucia or Lucina or Lucina? Either way. You could have them both in the game where they have similar styles. Very much like how Sung Mina and Killick have very similar styles, because they both use some form of staff, but they're not exactly the same. And it's not like this, again, it's not like Namco Bandai doesn't know how to do this. They do it very well for the most part. So I would be on board with that. And then you could still have the engine allow you to make custom characters just like in Soul Calibur, but maybe make it a little bit more in-depth. Maybe give people more options to finesse the faces a little bit. I mean, you can in Soul Calibur, and especially in 6, but it's a little iffy, to be honest. I'm not even gonna lie, it's a little iffy. But still, they could have that. They could have an adventure mode, and for the love of all things, if they're going to do an adventure mode, make it like a combination of Soul Calibur and Soul Calibur 2, because I'm sorry, Soul Calibur 6's adventure mode, while I like the story, the adventure mode itself is extremely repetitive, because most of the fights that you fight are almost the exact same thing. And there's no nuance to it, like with the original Soul Calibur, where you had that dungeon pit where you fought all the lizard men that would just like pour in as you beat one, another one comes running in. I loved that. Or like with Soul Calibur 2, where the arena sizes change, like the particular dungeons, the size of the arena changed, like where you had the triangular one that was really small, where you had the rectangular one that was really wide, like that type of stuff. Or where it have ice physics and things like that, and different effects for particular cages and stuff. Some of those things are in Soul Calibur 6 in minute detail, but not as like creatively imaginative as it was in those prior games. So I would love to see that happen. I would want something like that to be created, because I know that they can do it. They just have to look back at what they've done before and just make it creative and make it fit along with these different types of characters. You can have an adventure mode that is directly related to Fire Emblem, one that is directly related to The Legend of Zelda, and one that is directly related to Dragalia Lost, as well as a fourth adventure mode that is reminiscent of all of them, where the worlds are combined. Like you beat the other 3 to unlock the last one. That would be cool. Like, and again, they could make the story be about an unknown character, where you have to create your character, very much like in Soul Calibur 6. But this is just me pitching out the ideas. But again, I'm just one person sitting here thinking like, this is logically sound. This would make a lot of sense. This would make a lot of money. It would be very popular, and it would be on a platform that currently sells out very quickly, and the games do very well on it. I could see this being something that gets dropped, and it could be rivaling Smash in popularity. That's how confident I am in this type of idea, and think that how well I think it would work. But again, I'm just one guy who's sitting here just talking and running off at the mouth about it. But again, if I could get these companies to listen, I would possibly sit down and do like a full hour explanation of how this game could work, every little detail and every little thing that would go along with it. But as you can tell, I'm very invested in this thought and this idea, because I would really love to see this happen. I would be very happy to see this happen, and I would love to see that Nintendo and Namco Bandai take their relationship a little further as partners and make stuff like this. Because again, they had the engines for it. But like, if you're not going to put Soul Calibur out on a Nintendo Switch where you know people would want the game, go ahead and give them an alternative that would fit within the game style, that would be interesting to people, that would be something that people would like to play, and that could incorporate a lot of Nintendo stuff and cross over the worlds in ways Nintendo usually just doesn't do. It's so simple, and it makes so much sense, but it's something that's not being done at all, and that's super frustrating. But I've run on about this long enough. Thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears up for more stuff from me, and until the next time, enjoy your games, peace out, and let me know what you think down in the comments below.